I want to introduce everybody to the fish scale gecko. 1 second, it's one of the most underrated geckos on our planet, and the next, it's raw chicken. They're endemic to the island of Madagascar and are a coveted treasure of the reptile keeping hobby due to their stubby little legs, stunning iridescence, and low availability. Back in 2023, my friends and I were lucky enough to spot them in their natural habitat, a cafe in Madagascar, complete with lemurs roaming the kitchen and chameleons in the trees. Today I wanted to give you guys a little taste of these geckos, and more importantly, to build them a more suitable enclosure. So, today I'm partnering with Exo Terra for their 25th year anniversary. So we're going out with the old and in with the new. Let's get going on this build. We'll be talking more about the brand new Exo Terra Pro Terrariums at the end of this video, so if you're curious about the new age of Exo Terra tanks, stay tuned for that. In the meantime though, let's build it out for some fishies. We'll be making great use of the products that Exo provided for this build, but in terms of the products you'll need in order to complete this build, I'll leave a whole list of materials with their affiliate links in the description down below. Let's get this new shiny tank out of the box, and then start cutting the cork to fit the tank. For the 1-inch thick cork, I use a razor blade to cut it because it goes almost all the way through the cork and then you can easily snap it. Once the cuts have been made, it's time to bust out my caulking gun and apply silicone. After applying a liberal amount of silicone to the back panels, I placed them into the tank and made sure that I pressed down with a bunch of force to make sure they weren't going anywhere. Then I ended up placing a giant bag of sand on them for 3 or 4 hours while they dried, just to ensure the pressure stays. After that 3 or 4 hours had elapsed, I would flip the tank over and apply the next background piece. I did this for the remaining 2 pieces until we were all done. Then after all 3 pieces were dried, I let them sit for a full 24 hours before I began carving. The carving step isn't 100% necessary. In my opinion, the 30 minutes of work makes these panels look so much better. Don't be fooled though, that 30 minutes of work is extremely messy. As you can see here, there was shrapnel like 6 to 8 feet from the tank itself. And remember when carving to always wear eye protection. I speak from experience on that one, and I try and wear a mask when I remember to. See what I mean by the result is so much nicer? You just are left with this beautifully heavily textured background that will allow plant roots to grow. It gives some extra grip to your reptiles. I think it just looks much better than a flat piece of cork in the back. That wraps up the background construction, and we can move on to the drainage layer, which in this case is the Exo Terra Biodrain. It's a volcanic rock that is highly porous and extremely light, making it perfect for the drainage layer of any size tank. Once that was all dumped into the tank and leveled out, I was able to place down a window screen mesh, which basically maintains the divide between the substrate layer and the drainage layer, while also allowing the plant roots to grow through it and minimizing the amount of soil that falls into the drainage layer. And now it's time for the substrate, which is a mix of orchid bark, carbon, peat moss, organic topsoil, and of course, Exo Terra substratum. I like to mix substratum into pretty much every one of my substrates. It is rich with nutrients and carbon, which makes for a very nice, fluffy mix that maintains a decent amount of water in the substrate, but doesn't get too boggy. Now it's time to play with an assortment of different wood, trying to find the best layout, which will allow for basking and facilitates hiding. After fumbling around a little bit, I think I ended in a good balance of form and function. It looks pretty good and has plenty of hiding spaces in that cork round, which leads us to the final stage of the setup, which is planting. And unfortunately, your boy totally thought that he hit record, except he hit stop recording. So I don't have any footage of me planting the enclosure, so I'm very sorry about that. I basically had something called a sugar vine as ground cover, an anthurium in the back right, because the back left is going to be a basking spot for them, and a syngonium in the midground. Now these are all fairly fast growing plants, so I wanted to only start with a few here and there to see how they grow. If they don't grow fast enough, I will certainly add in a few more plants just to make it a little bit more lush in there for them. After adding the leaf litter and the cleanup crew, we have the finished fishy condo. Now that we've covered the setup of this enclosure, let's get them into their new home.
No.
I wonder if I'd bite from one of those. Yeah, that's what
Probably not.
I feel like it would for their size. Like, it wouldn't hurt actually, but it would hurt like...
There you go. Squishy. And gonna be gone. Your stubby little legs are so stupid.
Since filming this video, which was only about a week and a half ago, we had our first baby fish scale geckos hatch. Unfortunately, we have no idea what species these are because they aren't Typica or Maculata. Feel free to share what you think they are in the comments down below. Anyways, now that the fishmen have been introduced into their new enclosure, I can mention some of the features that the Exo Terra Pro Terrarium has over the old style of Exo Terra Terrarium. First of all, I did want to mention that this is a replacement for the old style terrarium. This is not a redesign or kind of like an adding to the lineup like the Frogs & Co was. This is the new Exo Terra Terrarium that will be offered globally. So now that we have that cleared up, what are the new features? While there are a couple new features, they also retain all the features from previous Exo Terra terrariums, and I will go into more detail in just a second. The new features include an adjustable and easily cleanable vent, so you can adjust it for more or less air circulation in the terrarium. And what's wonderful about it is you can simply remove it to clean it, because the old terrariums, in order to clean that substrate vent, it was a chore, and most people didn't even know you could. The second feature is that they are actually monsoon ready, meaning that they have an internal attachment for the misting head and space to run the line to the back of the tank and then out the top. Now, I didn't end up setting a monsoon on this tank. One of the other major changes with the paludarium style of the Pro Terrariums, they come with a pre-drilled hole and bulkhead for drainage, as you can see here. Now, those are the new additions to the tank. However, the tank itself has had a very large redesign while maintaining a lot of features that it used to have. The locks for the screen portion are still present, though not visible from the top, and that is because they are now inside the tank. The front doors do still latch shut using a very similar method to the Frogs & Co tanks, which is very simple, and you can still use one hand to open it, which is really nice. Now, probably the biggest and probably least noticeable change to the redesign is my favorite. The old style Exo Terras left about 3/4 of an inch between tanks, which was caused by the black plastic trim around the entire tank. For reptile enthusiasts and other hobbyists, we like to have the Exo Terra tanks side by side, and losing that 3/4 inches of space actually meant quite a lot. Not only did it leave a fairly large gap between the tanks, it also meant that sometimes they don't fit perfectly onto racks, and I am so happy to say that has changed. There's actually more livable space in the Exo Terra Pro Terrariums, and they've cut down on the thickness of the black plastic trim, which makes the tanks fit seamlessly side by side. I'm pretty sure there'll be some of you that are just as stoked as I am about this small, minute change. Now, those are all the major changes with the new Exo Terra Pro Terrarium. About 20 years after coming out with their first glass terrariums, they have made this huge redesign. I would love to hear what you think of the redesign in the comments down below. While you're down there, feel free to let me know if you'd like me to do like a side-by-side comparison of the old tank style versus the Pro Terrariums. I think it could be fun. I do want to thank Exo Terra for sponsoring this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more epic videos coming this summer. And like I mentioned earlier, if you have not seen the Exo Terra Frogs & Co Terrarium, feel free to click the link on the screen and it'll take you there.